have any advice for like young researchers that are starting out? Like any particular things that you do that everyone should implement?
That everyone should implement. I'm not sure that there's like a magic wand of what. I think that one thing that I mean, it is really important that there's. Okay, so let me step back a little bit here. Going into a PhD program is, tremendous endeavor and commitment. There's many years that when one has to dedicate to studying and writing a thesis, and you'll see your colleagues making a lot of money, and you'll be earning some grant from some FCT or some other institute that will give you some money. So you're giving up a lot of things. There's an opportunity cost of doing a PhD program. So you have to be really dedicated to endure some of that. You're most likely, if someone that's doing a PhD program is going to be a very smart person. So you could be doing something else with your skills and making way much more money. But the benefit of that is that you'll be pursuing something that you'll be enjoying for the rest of your life, and it's really a tremendous profession. Really, the ability to teach things that you're developing, the ability to engage with students, the ability to write new papers, new topics. There's no day like the previous day, right? It's a really different profession, and it's one where you get to make your day every day. It's phenomenal.
Do you see yourself more as a teacher or a researcher?
You can't separate the two. The job really entails those two components. I really love research. I really like teaching. But teaching is a little bit different, right? So with research, I get to pick most of the things that I do. I get to pick the questions. I get to pick the way that I answer the questions. I get to pick the co-authors and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things that I get to do on my own, a lot of choices. With teaching, it's not like that because I do get to pick the class that I'm teaching, but I don't get to pick the students, and I don't get to pick whether the students are motivated or not. So to some extent, there's an effort that I have to make to engage the students and bring the students into the fold of the topic and have them motivated. But to some extent, it's really up to them to see, is this relevant to me or not. And so there's more of a give and take in teaching than there is in research, which creates more of a challenge, more of an opportunity in that way. But it's not as much as an independent process as research is.
How is your research process? Is it more chaotic? Is it more directed to, I want to learn more about this topic? Or is it more like a divergence of themes that later converge into a single topic?
That's interesting. I work on things that I like, things that motivate me. I think that's really important to enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the papers that you're writing, enjoy the ideas that you're writing. It's probably not the best strategy in the profession. So some would say that the best strategy in the profession is to specialize. So, if you've written on a particular topic, you should continue focusing on that topic because then you'll be known by that topic. That's probably true, but that sometimes can potentially be very boring. There's a famous economist, Kenneth Galbraith, that wrote a book called The Tenured Economist. It's a parody about the economics profession. It's a very interesting book, and he talks about an economist that was hired, a PhD student that was hired from Berkeley to Harvard, and he asks that question, so should I specialize or should I, write on the topics that I really care about and so on. And everybody at Harvard tells him, you should specialize. And so, this guy is an IO economist, and so his thesis was the market for $1 refrigerators. And so his next paper is the market for $2 refrigerators. And so that's, that's a cost of specialization, is that it eventually might become very boring. But it will mark a field, you'll be the specialist of, refrigerators, right? That's not the way I pursue research. I really enjoy within certain boundaries of the things that I really care for, that I mentioned earlier on, governance and valuation in equity markets. Within those broad boundaries, I really like to pick topics that interest and motivate me.
how do you feel about the current journal situation in Europe? Essentially, do you feel that there are enough opportunities for a researcher somewhere in Europe to publish and to be well received by the community, or is it still very U.S. centric?
It is very much U.S. centric. It's a challenge, but research should really be a worldwide thing, right? So research should be there should be worldwide journals, and there are worldwide journals that should attract the top research. The issue of the journals being in the U.S., the main journals being in the U.S., is that there's a tendency for those journals to accept mostly U.S.-based research, and that's not good, because research about the Portuguese economy is important, certainly for the Portuguese, but maybe there's particular features of the Portuguese economy that could help us understand other things, right? More generally. And so, just because it's U.S. should not be the main factor, right? Or because it's not U.S. should not be a decisive factor to reject a particular paper. But it is true that journals are mostly European. The growth of the European community, I think, of researchers and elsewhere, there's a tremendous growth in China and other places. I think it's going to overturn that eventually. We're going to see a need for more journals. Those journals are going to come from other places. There's a couple of journals that are, very high reputation, economics and finance, that I know best out of Europe. And so, those will continue, and maybe more will come by. It will probably take some time.